This is fine. 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 This is a poor substitute for therapy, but an excellent substitute for other podcasts.
We're not like other podcasts.
Join us as we find the answers to the universe's biggest questions like, is butter a carb? Does crying burn calories? And what the fuck am I doing with my life? We're here to be your part-time therapist, astrologer, concierge doctor, and fairy godmother. Do you need someone to validate you today? Cool. Come on in. We're fine. This is fine. Hello, glorious queens, kings, and royalty. Hello, friends. This podcast is coming to you from a studio in San Diego, but your host, that's me, Dominique. Hi. Your host is now currently located in Paris, France. If you're hearing this now, July 12th, 2023 and onward, bonjour. I miss you already, San Diego. On my final day in the studio in Pacific Beach with Dan, we had Shannon come down to record one last episode. I may sort of be crying as I am recording this right now. But enough about that, enough about me. Let's talk about the stars, shall we? Let's move on from emotion. If this is your first time joining us on This Is Fine, first of all, welcome. Second of all, we are blessed to have my mentor and moon mom, master oracular astrologer, and queen of all things mystic, Shannon Aganza, on call for us basically all of the time. Thank you, Shannon. She brings us a combination of Astrology 101 lessons so you can learn about things like your moon sign or what the astrology houses mean. And she also brings us transit updates, horoscopes, and lets us know what's going on in the cosmos. Today's update is on a major transit that's taking up the rest of the summer, plus a bit of fall, Venus in Leo, specifically Venus stationing retrograde in Leo. When you hear this, our goddess of love planet will already be in the fiery sign of the lion, but not yet retrograde. I'll let Shannon explain all of that, what it means, and what you should do with this information. All right, let's get into the horoscope. Okay, Shannon. Welcome back to the studio. It's our last day in the studio for a while.
Oh,
I know. How are you feeling today? Is everything fine in your world?
super fine.
Okay, great.
Super fine.
Super fine. I don't know.
About your world?
I'm excited. So obviously we're recording this before, but by the time you hear this, I will be in France, which is crazy. We haven't talked about it in podcast context, you and I, but I know the secret's out.
The secret is out. And all birthed out of this podcast.
No, literally all birthed out of the podcast, which you designed the birth of the podcast.
That's right.
I'm like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm fine. I'm excited. I'm nervous. Got a lot going on. All the feelings. Yeah.
Just super happy for you that you get to do this. Why not?
Thank you. I'm so excited. And for those of you who don't know, I immediately called Shannon after we recorded the episode with Amanda and Morgan, and I was like, "Okay, am I going to do this?" And Shannon was like, "Yeah, girl."
Why not? This is the perfect time. It's in your chart.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, you know best.
And it's really interesting because you will be settling into your new life.
Yeah.
That has been almost like an unrequited love.
Oh my God.
Which actually is a 12th house Leo energy.
Oh my God. What an apropos theme.
I'm jumping right to some spot in the future.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But that is.
Oh my God. We're going to have to come back to this the day of publishing and have a nice little chat about it. So if you didn't gather already or hear any of my introduction, did you skip my intro? We are talking about Venus in Leo today. And you say this much better than me, the anatomy of Venus and Venus retrograde.
Yes. So Venus, we're just going to have a little Venus, an astronomical Venus talk. And of course, the planet of beauty even has the most beautiful astronomical cycle. She has a cycle that lasts 584 days. That's her full cycle going all the way around within her retrograde, her direct, her Cazimis. And within that timing, we have this 5-pointed star that she makes when every time she crosses the sun, whether it's through her retrograde cycle. So every retrograde, which is every year and a half approximately, she dots a point in the zodiac that will then go to the next one that creates a 5-pointed star. Like
so
within
beautiful.
8 years.
She's just making art.
Beautiful. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the Fibonacci sequence. It's literally the formula for harmony and beauty.
Music. Oh my God. This is just astronomy, astrology, music, art, all coming together.
It's all real.
It's all real.
It's all connected. So we'll just start. I'll just give this very, very quickly. So we have this 584-day cycle. And what that's marking is her Cazimi retrograde to Cazimi retrograde. Okay. So what a Cazimi is when she's in the heart of the sun.
Right.
Like in that, I use a 17-minute orb.
Okay.
Some people will use as much of as a degree, but I use it really tight.
Within a 17-minute moment.
So when Venus is retrograde, that means we're on the same side of the sun. And it's what's called an inferior or an interior conjunction.
Okay.
Because she's between us and the sun, between the earth and the sun. And so we're very close. We're connected. So if we were putting our super goddess bodies on, or god bodies on, just thinking high level power, and we're able to fly above the solar system, and we looked down at that moment, we would see that beautiful line.
Gorgeous.
That blue marble, the bright light Venus, and then the golden sun.
That's so stunning. Oh my God.
And then there's the moment.
Yeah.
And whenever she is going retrograde, crossing the sun. So that, again, is the marking of the beginning of her cycle.
Okay.
And it begins also her trek to go underground is what we look at. And what that means from, again, an astronomical perspective is that from here on Earth, she's about to become a rising star, meaning she rises above, in front of the sun in the early morning.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
And that just becomes.
I actually didn't fully grasp that until you just said it right now. I'm like, I hear rising star and setting star, and I'm still trying to figure out, how that looks in charts, et cetera. So this is new vocab, but concepts that are starting to marinate a little bit more.
That's how it happens.
Yeah.
We just keep putting these concepts in your head and then click.
Right.
And so, again, as the rising, it means she's literally in front of the sun as we're seeing things move across the sky.
Okay.
So that's why we see her for a little bit, and then the sun comes out, and then we can't see her anymore.
Got it.
And then she sets, and
I'm literally seeing it like in a chart, and I'm like, okay, like watching the wheel.
Yes. And then at the midpoint of between that time when she's going underground, there's going to be another conjunction that's called a superior conjunction, meaning she's on the other side of the sun. So again, we're in our superhero bodies flying above the solar system, and we see this beautiful line of that blue marble, the big old golden sun in the center, and that sparkling light Venus on the exact opposite side.
Okay. So when people use the term like stars align, this is kind of like what it means. Like literally, like the stars are aligning. This is a really special time when everything lines up in conjunction.
And that will be a time, too, that's considered a conjunction, but she's on the other side. So it's not retrograde. We only have retrogrades when we and the other planet are on the same side of the sun.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So other conjunctions that happen and I know I'm giving you a lot of astronomy, but it is good to kind of have in your mind that interior, being close to us. Exterior is another way to say it, or superior.
Okay.
On the other side. And this is when she's her fastest, always. She's always crossing. And then that's the moment when she's going to become an evening star.
Beautiful.
Where she just bursts through. And she kind of prefers
Okay.
the evening setting star because she can be more herself. She can be the love goddess.
Okay.
When she's on the other side, which is what we're going to be stepping into right now.
Morning or rising.
Yeah, morning or rising, becoming the morning rising star. She's the warrior.
Okay.
And we need to a little bit suit up.
Right at dawn energy.
Right at dawn energy and
Okay.
just be a little more fierce. And so that's what's happening within that cycle. And for this, it's in the sign of Leo. We'll talk about that a little more in depth in a second. But we're looking at this 40-day, 40-night cycle, which
Right. Just like Jesus wandering the desert.
yeah, there's a thing to that, like everything, like growing up, Jesus out, like in my. I had to go to Lutheran school growing up.
Jesus out is like a great expression, honestly.
And, my translation as a kid growing up was like, he was like kind of a nice guy.
He was a
that
pretty
seemed
nice
very,
dude. Yeah.
very Venus lovey-like. It's like, hey, ease up, forgive,
Super loving.
Whoa. Why are you getting in a fight? Here, take my coat. Very Venusian, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
I still have not passed being Jesused out. Like, do you want to go to youth group? No, I'm pretty Jesused out for the day. It's my new favorite phrase. Oh my God.
I had my fill.
I had my fill of Jesus for the moment.
That's right.
Oh my God. This is unrelated, but have you watched The Righteous Gemstones?
Oh, my favorite.
Oh my God. That's where I feel like this would really fit. That vocabulary feels very on brand for that program, which I think is the best show on television. Oh my gosh.
Funny.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get so off key.
Oh, good. But yes, there's our 40-day, 40-night correlation.
She's just out. Yep. Okay.
But this is kind of perfect, actually, to weave in because it is that same thing she's doing. And by the way, could we maybe say things got a little shaken up and like, how are we going to cross-pollinate? That was during Hellenistic astrology heyday time.
Wow.
Was when he was doing his thing.
Yeah. Living, rising.
Living, rising, setting.
Returning.
Evolving, caving. No disrespect intended.
No, not at all.
But hey, that was
we love Jesus.
That was Jesus' deal.
Yep.
But we see this of like crossing some of these other astrological events and times and traditions during that time.
Cool.
And so the whole thing, this is a thing. Venus, when she's going underground, what is she doing? I'm going internal. I'm figuring things out. I'm going inside myself.
Yeah.
I have to go in, take inventory.
Yep. She's working on herself.
She's working on herself and resting up.
She's moisturizing. She's hydrating. She's unbothered. She's doing her own thing.
And then she's figuring out,
yeah,
what do I need? Because I'm about to rise at dawn. I'm going to go have to fight the fight.
Yeah, I better get like at least 9 hours of sleep.
And so that is sort of the time like that I recall.
Yeah.
He would go to the desert for the 40 days, 40 nights because he was trying to figure shit out.
Yeah. I just wonder, could it have possibly been at the same time as a Venus retrograde cycle?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's
exactly
it is
yeah.
what I'm saying. That they were trying to take those two things that was a common thing.
Wow.
And cross-pollinate.
Right. Oh my God.
Is my speculation.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's a speculation.
Okay.
I shouldn't say.
But I mean.
It is written.
It is written. It is true.
Venus was thus.
Yeah. I mean, that would be really cool. Just even thinking about the concept of it is cool.
But it is a concept.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's baked from.
Amazing.
In what? Science.
In science and religion.
Astronomy.
Yeah, exactly.
Venus, like everything crossing. And it is. It's a fantastic time for anybody to, go inside. And so before we go into what we might each individually be working on.
Right.
It's kind of important just real quickly to, a bit of go through
the broad
Venus.
context. Yeah. So we're going to get a lesson from Shannon on Venus in general and how Venus, is acting in this sign. And then she's going to give a more personal breakdown because it's going to affect you a little bit differently, like a slightly different flavor based on what house in your own personal birth chart it's going to go through. I'll touch on that a little bit more later with resources, episodes you can listen back to. But let's start with the overarching context.
Perfect. And so we'll talk about who she is. Like, who is this
Who's
Venus?
Venus?
Anyways?
We keep
Who
calling
is
her she, and it's like a planet, but she's she. Like,
she's the she.
She's the she. She is that girl.
There, because that's the thing. We have polarity in life, right? So we have extreme expressions, and that's something we could say. It's like feminine, divine feminine on the one spectrum, and then we go to Mars and we're looking at divine masculine, and we tend to name male, but it doesn't mean it's of gender.
It doesn't mean like biological sex.
Has a Venus,
yeah.
Exactly. Everybody has a Mars, and we all have those parts of those pieces inside of us.
Yeah, you could look at it, you've said this before, like yin and yang, if like that feels like more appropriate, like you don't connect with the gendered words.
But we will say in myth, like Venus was that embodiment of
Aphrodite?
Yes, Aphrodite is the same.
Okay.
Inanna, we have all everybody has their myth.
The different cultures.
Their way of explaining their story of this beautiful, shining gem in the sky. And so Venus, when we look at Venus, first we need to understand like who she is. I'm still calling her she. I can't.
Yep. No,
it will never be broken.
That's our vocabulary.
I will try. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So the main thing we're looking at with Venus is it's the planet of desire and love. Love being key. It's all things beautiful. It's everything pleasant. It's our connection. It's our ability and capacity to attract and to be attracted, to love and be loved, to seek and create beauty and harmony. And it is our capacity to engage in and be connected in intimate relationships, social relationships. And it is just, sensuous pleasure.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing to think of because it is very strongly connected to Leo, even though she's not in her rulership in Leo.
But it's the heart.
It is the heart, and it is love. So just, little spoiler alert, probably, people will be reevaluating, love relationships.
Yeah.
And again, when we look at the houses, the thing we will distinguish is the territory, the where this is happening, where the focus is, what area of life. But we know no matter what, we're dealing with a love principle. And the beauty of this, of she being in Leo for the whole track, is that she will also be under the guardianship of the sun. And the beauty of that is, the sun is in its rulership, has a tremendous amount of strength when in Leo.
Right.
The sun rules Leo. So the sun will be in Leo for a good chunk of the time. As a matter of fact, it's really beautiful. So first, let's look at Venus in Leo and how long she's going to be in Leo.
Okay.
So we'll kind of we'll put our sort of energetic timestamps on this. So Venus enters Leo on the 6th of
July.
June.
Oh.
So we're already in there.
Yeah, we're there.
And the reason why I'm showing us like the whole expanse, she will be in Leo from June 6th all the way until October 8th. So she usually spends less than a month in a sign, and she has 4 months. So we're looking at Venus under the guardianship of the sun for 4 months.
4 seasons.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, which is pretty dang lovely.
Yeah.
And then within that, when we want to start paying attention, and I'm sure you'll probably put this in the show notes because you're so thorough.
Well, thank you.
There we go. So we enter the front shadow, meaning she's crossing the degree that she's going to go back to when it's like, okay, I've had enough in here. It's time to, start going direct and forward. So she enters that front shadow on June 19th.
Okay.
So what we want to do is think back to
June 19th.
June 19th. Between June 19th and July 23rd, which is the day she starts the 40-day trek. She starts retrograde. It's that, like we get hints as to what might be coming in. It's sort of like that, premonitions of what's to come in during that time. So we then go backwards, and that 40-day, 40-night is July 23rd through September 3rd. So that is our expansive walking in the desert, or walking in our inner self, trying to figure things out. And within that time, on August 13th, we have the Cazimi. And so this is when she's literally going across the heart of the sun and moving. She's specifically moving underground. And then she's still in that, after she goes direct, she's then in a front shadow because she's gone all the way back to 12 degrees. She goes retrograde at 28. She goes back to 12. And then she has to move back forward over that same territory. And then on October 7th is when she crosses that point where she's still, because it's the end of the sign. There's only one day left, October 8th. That she's like, oh, wow, okay. And then she plunges into not her favorite place. Correct, Virgo.
Yes, for both of us.
But I think she'll be ready. I think she'll be, wow, okay, I am a wiser being at this point.
Right.
And actually what's nice is that with, the Leo energy, and we'll talk about that, like what is Leo? But she kind of moves into that Virgo, I think, a little. When I say sober, I mean that in the best of ways, not somber, sober.
Yeah, kind of like pure and clean almost.
Pure and clean. And one of the issues of Leo can be, ego, arrogance coming from this
Drinking your own Kool-Aid.
Drinking your own Kool-Aid, exactly. Where I think it's not that it's humiliating going through, it's being able to see things for what they are. And why did I give importance to this?
Yeah.
Or usually, because what did we say? Venus is relational.
Right.
Might be through relationship.
Okay.
We might have, fallen in love with love, say, with a person.
Or the idea of someone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's in that territory that we go, oh, we pull the curtain back and we get to see.
I'm like, I've never done that.
Don't feel alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
I think here's the thing. It's part of evolving.
Right.
I think if you haven't had that, you don't have your stripes.
Yeah.
Like, we just need to go through that experience. And so with Venus being in Leo, this is a fire sign. So we're looking at two sides. So we have this, how we're dealing with ourselves relationally, with other people. And really, it's like self-love.
Yeah.
How we allow ourselves to be seen. Remember Venus, our ability to attract and be attractive.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
To attract something to us and to be attractive to another. And so that's another thing that's under refinement of, what are you coming from? Are you creating some illusion? There's a reason why actors and actresses, what sign do they fall under?
Leo.
Leo.
A lot of Leos.
And it's strong because they can become whatever character and be dynamic and believable in it. You know that. But it is that, like, how do I morph myself to get something that I think is this? Is this really what I want?
Right.
So we're getting very clear on those things. And we already did the episode before, which is a perfect precursor to this one of talking about, Mercury retrograde and Venus going, retrograde in Leo. So it's we're doing both of those. So we did the heart head.
Yep.
There will be a moment when Mercury goes retrograde and, which will be interesting because the first part, the sun the sun is in charge of her entire trek through that whole entire time we said, from the beginning to the end of the cycle in the shadows. So even if we put shadow bookends on it, we're looking at this cycle. We're already in it, but from June 19th all the way to October 7th. So the sun is guiding her. And this is what's beautiful. We can trust. We can go in. Our guardian is fit to hold us, fit
Love that.
to send us in where we need to go, and to be vulnerable, if anything, with ourselves and to be loved, because that's all that Leo is at the end of the day, just high vibration love.
Yep.
And so when she becomes under the direction of the sun moved into Virgo, because that will happen. So she goes in. The day she goes retrograde, the sun moves into Leo. And it's like, I gotcha. It's okay. It's like playing, what's that game where you fall back?
Trust falls.
Trust falls.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know. It's like, no, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Like the sun places itself. You look forward. I'm right behind you.
I love that. I'm like, swaddle me like a baby.
Exactly. So that you can go in. And we really do want to do, that work. And then exactly 1 month later, on August 23rd, the sun moves into Virgo. So the theme changes a little. So hopefully we've gone in where we've speculated, we see things. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, now I know my feeling. I know where is my heart, not based on what the world tells me I want.
The outside input, outside validation or direction.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's all like my heart. And here's the thing, allow yourself to find your heart, literally not based on how anybody else would measure it as right or wrong. When are we going to get this again? Not like this, like we will get Venus retrograde in Leo again, but it's this, we have a month in that, and then in comes the discernment tool, the mind enters. And so the day with Virgo, the sun enters Virgo and says, okay, now we're going to start working with this.
Yeah.
You did this. Let's figure it out. We don't need to figure out with our brain a darn thing from July 23rd to August 23rd.
It's like feel your feels.
Feel your feels. Let it go in this direction, that direction. And, we're going to give you a little exercise that you can be doing during this time at the end of this episode. But we start to make more sense of it. And this will be harder for the mentally
ruled
types.
Knew where you were going with this.
Strong types. And it's like, give yourself the gift of just going with the flow. Like I'm thinking of you. And it's like you're going to be in Paris and just feel the feels. Don't feel like you have to
think later.
Think later. Because it will come. The brain is going to come knocking at the door on that August 23rd.
And I'm like, I'm not home. Sorry. No one's here.
And then it's just it's really cool because it's like the boss's boss's boss. It's like everybody has a boss. So Venus has a boss. It's the sun while she's doing this trek.
Yep.
And then the sun is its own boss
in
Leo. It's in Leo. But then the minute it goes into Virgo, Mercury becomes the boss.
Okay.
But Mercury, the day the sun goes into Virgo, Mercury stations retrograde. Isn't that, it's like so meant to be. Like I can't, so both of these things, the day the sun, the great light aligns itself to support the journey.
Yep.
So we're just looking at sort of, when I say upgrading, I'm like going from my heart up to my head. That's what I mean, where it's, and expanding. We're inviting the mind in. But Mercury retrograde through the rest of her cycle, retrograde, and she'll even go direct. She'll station direct.
And that's in Virgo as well.
Exactly.
Which is a good spot.
Virgo, which then Mercury is its own boss.
Yeah.
And can tell the sun what to do.
So there's good leadership happening.
There's great leadership. And so we can really get some stuff done.
Cool.
So even if you feel uncomfortable, you're okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Don't let fear come in. this is the time to overcome it. This is the time to
sit with the uncomfy.
Sit with the uncomfy and just allow a solution to come through. So that's another way to kind of look at it, that we may not be acting on the solution yet until Venus goes direct, but we can be thinking of solutions and writing them down.
Right.
And when I say solutions, it's how do I script the life I want? Like, this is what I love.
Right.
I can't get around this. This is what is meaningful to me.
My driving force. This is the core of what I want, the root behind my decisions, like who I go after, what I go after. Like, this is the root.
This is the root. And then
now we're going to plan around it.
Exactly.
Okay.
We plan around
it's like, what do I do with that information and how do I bring that to life?
That's right.
You get some Virgo mind tricks.
You get some Virgo mind tricks. And then the other thing too, because while she's still in her, the front part, the post shadow, we'll say, when she's direct, and still in that territory of like, we're still technically in the cycle, we're just going direct. Then the sun on the 23rd, again, 9/23, will move into Libra. And so she ends up in charge.
Yep.
She's in charge.
Yep.
Venus rules Libra. So they come together. And it's just, I think I already said this, but I want to reiterate that it's such a special relationship from a geocentric perspective between the sun and Venus, because she is tethered to the sun. She never deviates, as well as Mercury.
Right.
We're dealing with
the
both
crew.
Of these the crew. That's the crew. And it's really beautiful that there's all this exchange and coming together and bringing the radiance out. And so that's a thing to look at. So things we are looking to cultivate, we'll start with just even on a basic, I can't help it, I'm making this an astrology lesson. So Venus being in Leo for this trek, we're cultivating fixed fire, or we're working within the parameters of fixed fire. So when fire is in balance, it is, centered in self, not self-centered, but centered in self. And go one step further when we're looping Leo in is the heart. It's radiant, it's glowing, it's warm, it's energetic, it's super creative. It allows spontaneity, passion, being assertive in a non-bossy way, just a clear way. It's very courageous. We have that on our side.
It's perfect. The root of the word courage, right, is cœur, which is French for heart.
Oh, beautiful.
And there, it's like the connection, like Leo rules over the heart.
Oh, and it is, we do think of courage with Leo. That's beautiful, being heart-centered. It's that inspirational leadership. Find something when you're feeling low. YouTube will always show up for you.
So true. Or this podcast.
Or this podcast, for some inspirational leadership.
Yeah.
Helping to find real self-confidence and that optimism. And so what we're doing is we're in the heart of something that is going to evolve into wisdom later when we come out of the cave, when we come out of this. So that's really beautiful, right? So if we have that in overabundance, if we are more self-centered, hot-headed, impatient, impulsive, easily triggered, reactive, uncontrollable in our, our emotional nature, easily burnt out, like more of that aggressive energy or domineering or egocentric or overwhelming others with your energy and not aware, or insensitive to others, righteous.
Yeah.
Then you get to deal with that polarity. And so understand, don't feel rejected, dejected if you're getting a bigger response to that. It's like, oh, you go to the polarity of it, because there's always something within that polarity of the negative is that positive of, what is beautiful on the other side of this.
Right.
If I'd been better thought out, I would have wrote it out.
No, it's making perfect sense to me.
Centered in self-centered. Like there's one. That's a good one. You can never go wrong being centered in your true heart.
Yeah.
Period.
I love it.
And so the fixed part, we know fixed energy is solid. It's in place.
Structured.
Structured. I, like with a fire model, Aries is that initiating,
Cardinal.
It's the spark, the cardinal. Fixed Leo is the fire that's constantly being fed in the fireplace, the hearth, the warmth that feeds heat to the family. And then mutable Sag is like the
brush fire. Yeah. Moving everywhere.
Going crazy. And so we get this nice, fixed, solid.
It's like generative heat.
Yeah. And you're being fed.
Yeah.
And this is why it may seem like, oh my gosh, this is way over my head, like sun is science ruling it, but but this brings it back to we have the sun putting logs on the fire, making sure we can stay with this. Like, get comfortable. We're doing this. Make this a comfortable one. And so that's that fixed part. So there's, a stabilization that occurs. And the thing, like my favorite thing with fixed, like if you figure this out about fixed, even people, fixed energy, you don't rush a fixed person. If you try to hurry them,
Preach.
They dig their heels in and go slower, that you cannot make it happen faster. So we're going to bridge that to this, that if there's something uncomfortable, it's like, or someone is irritating you and you're trying to get them to move because it makes me feel better. If you do this, it's not going to happen. You may be triggered in this way.
And that's on purpose, right? That's the lesson.
It's part of it. Yeah. To go, okay, I need to find my radiance based on me, self-love, not the other. And just here's another little thing. I can't believe I haven't said this. And, just in the years of being an astrologer, like, Venus is about to go retrograde. I'm about to get all the calls and all that. Hey, what do you think of this person? What do you think of that person?
Yeah.
It is, on a side note, like when people tend to just fly in. There's like tons of, opportunities for relationship, but it's not 100%. But people that come in during a Venus retrograde tend to be there to teach us about something. And they don't always survive
the cycle.
The cycle, either the direction or the next Cazimi retrograde.
Okay.
Like a year and a half, like within a couple of years. It might be, okay, that's what that was. So I just tell people, if you do bring someone in, be aware of that. And just on like an electional level, this is just real nuts and bolts here. Do what you can to not make it official until Venus goes direct. So you have a better election chart of when did we start.
I literally thought you were going to say, don't get married.
Oh.
You're like, yeah, kind of.
The only, remarriage, renewing your vows, there can be some things that, and Venus is in the sign of love. Absolutely, I would never elect on purpose a marriage. Get married during Venus retrograde in Virgo.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Ouch.
not going to happen.
That's so mean.
It's like, yeah. Exactly. But it is, at least it's warm, but we're looking to gather information about ourselves.
Right.
And if we want to keep them after, you just need to keep sticking your head back on straight, because you're going to feel passion. This is Leo. It's all the things, and so. Yes, I think we kind of have explained through just even explaining fixed fire. We've covered Leo. That is Leo.
Right.
So it is that people might question your loyalty.
Ooh,
that
interesting.
That can be a thing during this. Like, hey, are you loyal to me? Drama comes up.
Okay.
Leo. And this is, again, where you may have to connect in with your heart because it's testing your strength of willpower.
Okay.
So that's another thing we're looking at. And if we go all like Jesus-y, I come back, it's like that, self-discipline. Like, no, I'm going in, I'm doing something here. I need to keep committed to myself.
Okay. I thought you were going to go like the Peter, you're going to betray me 3 times through. Like,
oh, that's true.
Right.
Or Judas. Or, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, and then be forgiving. But yeah, and having to let it go.
Right.
Boy, who knew?
Right. Like a lot of parallels. I feel like you did know.
Jesus episode.
Hopefully you're not too Jesused out by the end of this episode. But I like what you brought up about, potential drama from other people, like, questions of loyalty, it feels like that might come from someone else's insecurity.
Exactly.
And the lesson you're saying is to not let their insecurity become your insecurity.
Exactly. Because remember, Venus is retrograde in Leo somewhere in their chart.
Right. So it could be like 11th
thing.
house of their friendships.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
You are there. I'm telling you. I keep telling Dominique, it's like, Dominique, you're there. You can call yourself an astrologer. Seriously.
Oh my God,
you are there. You think and that's it. Exactly. Like you just know exactly where to go. And that's it. And suppose yours is in your 5th house of Leo. It's like, no, I don't need to prove my loyalty. I am a lover and I will love other people, that I'm fine with. And that's okay. I respect. I will never put you and this other person who you're demanding loyalty, to cut this other person out.
Right.
Because it can be
Mafia
dramatic.
style.
Mafia style. It can be dramatic like that during these times, and you try to, because who does Venus rule?
Libra and Taurus.
Libra and Taurus.
Okay.
So thinking of the Libra where the sun is going to shine light at the end of this, that's what she's going for. Is equanimity. When I say equanimity, I don't mean it in a peaceful way. I mean in a fair, balanced, harmonious way.
Like Libra justice.
That you can live with yourself is really what it comes down. Can I live with myself? I can live with myself. Yeah. Can I be loving towards everyone? I can. It doesn't mean I have to like that person. We may not like the other, and we may be able to completely understand why somebody else is not cool with that person. But it doesn't mean you have to adopt the same hatred and vengeance towards them. And just you can love them from afar. And, like, I hope they figure out why they're so miserable and they do this to you. But I can send them light to try to figure that out, to light their own path.
So you don't have to carry that toxicity.
Exactly. You don't have to carry other people's wounds, And again, if we're going, deep love, it's that. Like, hopefully, as a being, we can be objective.
Right.
In all areas. Doesn't mean we have to like everybody. We just have to know where we are and not be pushed aside by somebody else's agenda of what they think where we should be dispensing like or love.
Okay.
So that is, possibly a big topic going on.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't find our words to communicate it in a clear way until the sun moves into Virgo
season.
And Mercury is there. Even though Mercury's retrograde, it's in a sign, it's like double strong as far as exaltation and rulership.
Right.
And so, we can go in there and sculpt a beautiful way of explaining things.
Right.
And this is true, like, say you are married or in a long-term relationship. These are things we can make way, improve, elevate things. Or who knows, you might be somewhere you're like, what, I didn't feel good before, and now it's really bearing down on me. I don't feel like I can be myself, and maybe I need to create an exit strategy.
Thank you, next.
Don't leave during the retrograde, though. Like, it's a boomerang.
Okay.
People who break up, usually, this is usual, generally speaking, if you break up during Venus retrograde, probably going to get back together.
Interesting.
It's
something to be mindful of. Yeah.
But so yes, that's that. I'm trying to think. Can you think of any other strong Leo themes, Ms. Dominique,
I know,
the
right?
astrologer?
Like, on the spot. I keep coming back to
sorry.
No, it's great. I keep coming back to the heart and the courage and the sharing of like the magnanimity, right? Like sharing your warmth, sharing your light.
Okay. Generosity. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Okay.
Where can we be generous?
Mm-hmm.
It's also a time to really take care of your own body, because it is the Leo gives vitality to the physical body.
Okay.
So it's yes, what are our needs? Not so much on that Taurus-y.
Right. Resource needs.
It's literally like on a
physiological.
How do I keep my body energized?
Okay.
I might need to rest.
Okay.
Like, I might need more rest.
Right.
I might need to look at my diet when
Right.
sun goes into Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't have to deprive myself of something. It's about altering.
I got to edit my diet.
I just have to edit my diet.
Yeah. I love
Those
it.
are the things that we can get to that if you kind of even go in with that intention, have a
Right.
few intentions at the beginning.
So the whole time that Venus is in Leo, whether direct or retrograde, it starts with the sun in Cancer, then the sun in Leo, then the sun in Virgo, and it ends with the sun in Libra. Is that correct?
That's correct. If we're doing front shadow.
Mm-hmm. So it gets like 4 flavors throughout, and like Leo is the one where it's really getting like the tools.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Leo is where we're in it. We're not thinking. We're not processing.
Right.
Tools,
just feeling it.
Usually, it's more of a Virgo.
Okay.
Virgos like their tools.
Editor tools.
to do their craft, to shift energy. Mm-hmm. We're in the feels.
Yeah.
And we're just going with the flow, really, too, in that. And feeling and not judging yourself and not judging other.
Beautiful. And then it feels really lovely and conclusive to end with the sun in Libra. Is that considered mutual reception at that point?
Yes. I forgot to say that. Okay. That's what's really beautiful is we have the sun and Venus. I did write that down. In mutual reception.
I'm pretending to read your stuff from afar.
She trades places.
Yeah.
She trades places and moves into mutual reception, meaning they're each in each other's sign. What a beautiful union, right? So if we wanted to do relationship work and we even wanted to, sign up for an intensive, relationship workshop retreat. I don't know. I'm sure they're
Great.
out there.
Sounds real.
Sounds real. Or you want to do it within yourself, or you're going to make, front load some therapy appointments, or I want to go in, or I want to do some kind of journeys around it.
Yeah.
This is our time to get to that, to come into balanced relationship.
Okay.
Because that is the end of the story.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it?
It feels like it ties up with like a nice little sparkly Libra bow.
Exactly. And that's why I say she goes through all of that, unless she was just
messing around,
fingers in the ears, messing around, getting sloppy, like
text from the ex.
Just going with the flow. I felt like drinking a whole bottle of tequila tonight. I don't know. Like
that's your journey.
That's your journey, but you'll get your progress report. Mm-hmm. Probably more when Venus goes into Virgo. Yeah. At the end of it, it's like, ooh, yeah, my liver hurts.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Venus and Virgo, you smell tequila and you black out, just like me.
Exactly. So, but the other side is I did my homework. Mm-hmm. I did my prep work. I not even just surrendered. I was open to everything that this cycle had to teach me. And I knew I would have a couple moments of discomfort, maybe just because it doesn't feel good to let go because I'm letting go my safety switches, my surge protectors. But the sun has been standing in the back holding me. Like if we don't have the sun, we don't have life, right? So it's like having and then even having Mercury is holding the sun, holding you. Yeah. And then they trade places. And it's just this, to me, that's always what I see in the healthiest relationships that are long-term, like the long relationships, are those that each person, they don't judge the other's blind spots. They support them in their blind spots.
Nice.
And each can I can let go. Then they learn how to trust each other. Like, okay, this is my blind spot. Thank you for giving me feedback.
Yeah.
But they both do it to each other.
Right. And there's emotional safety. With the lack of judgment, there's the emotional safety. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then I think what happens, we have Venus move into Virgo, and then it doesn't have to be a difficult thing. It can be a clear. She's clear.
Yeah. Like you were saying, sober.
And then okay, I can really get my affairs in order and set up my life, do the infrastructure, organizing. I'm going to organize my life. I'm going to do what seems like not exciting, but I'm going to clear my house and clear the stuff out of my house that no longer feels good to me. I have a bad feeling every time I look at that, or I feel guilty when I look at that, or so that's actually a really good time for just going to do Venus talk. And then she's going to move into Libra after that, because that's what she does. And then it's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to build my life, my relation. All the stuff can feel really good and healthy.
So that would be a better time for a relationship to start.
Yeah, it can be. And I'm not saying Venus and Virgo isn't. It's during the retrograde, because the whole point of a retrograde is that, again, it means we and the planet are very close to each other. So it's very loud and it's trying to teach us something. So we're usually in being taught.
Right.
Undoing.
So you're going to be like...
Undoing or going in and things are being revealed. So,
right.
We will draw in because it is Venus and sun-ruled Leo, which is what? Magnetic. The sun pulls all kinds of things in. That you're going to draw to you
a lesson in the form of a person.
Yes. Exactly.
And some of you might not want that.
Likely.
Yeah.
And you may really like that person.
Yeah.
But it's going to bring up what you need. And then maybe you just need a progress report. Like you've done a lot of work on yourself. It's like, I brought this person in. And it's like, oh my gosh, no, it feels really clean. But I'm not going to move in with them.
Not now.
We're going to wait at least, let Venus get to the other side of this cycle. So I think we covered all the dates, didn't we?
We got the dates. Do you want to briefly go over houses?
Yes.
Lovely.
So we'll just do and I think you said that earlier.
We have an episode 39. This will obviously be in the show notes as well. If you need a deep dive on every single house, all 12 houses in astrology, that's there for you. You can. I think we spent at least 10 minutes per house.
Yes.
So we really, really got into it. That'll give you a really nice primer if you don't have one already. Even if you do, I think it's nice to reflect and get Shannon's take specifically. So if you need a refresher, maybe pause right now and go back to episode 39. Otherwise, we're just going to keep on trucking.
And then the other pause would be run your chart.
Oh, yes. If you don't have your chart in front of you, you don't know where Leo is in your chart. Great call.
Yeah. And if you can do this either way, run a whole sign house, and you're really looking at one strong, house topic. And, it is a beautiful way to look at it, right? Like you have a whole house being grazed by the goddess. Isn't that beautiful?
It's just lovely. She's painting like a paintbrush across that house for you.
Just going across and giving, like she's paying extra attention. So this is another thing as we go into this and seeing where is she's paying extra attention to that area of your life. So again, topic of love, love, self-love, love of other. Where do I get too reactive around my ego? Where do I not stand up for myself? So that's what we kind of go into this thinking.
Like the universal theme for everyone. Okay.
Of whatever house we fall into.
Right.
And sorry, one more statement. If you do run a quadrant house, just look at the cusp and you'll see, like you might still be in one house, but it might go over the expanse of two houses.
That's for our more advanced listeners. If you're not looking at just whole sign is probably the easiest for beginners.
It just is. And it's a standalone house system. Like you really can work with it. Only that house system.
But just don't do it in Placidus.
I know, I'm funny. Like Coke is my favorite, but even if you do Placidus,
I'll have instructions in the show notes if none of that makes sense to you and you're just like, please just tell me where it is.
Yeah.
I'll have instructions.
Sign. Whole sign, it's really clean. So first house. So we'll just do this really quick. Self-love, easy. Your persona, what you look like, how you put yourself out in the world. Ooh. Chances are then
Makeover
you have
time.
A Leo ascendant.
Yeah.
So that means maybe you're the heat of everybody else, like you warm everybody else and maybe we need to warm ourselves, or we're looking at our identity and image. So that's first house.
I'm like, makeover.
Exactly.
I mean,
makeover, bold, flowers, but also be careful of overspending on something that is like, oh, I really regret that.
Yeah, this could be a time
for the big trend, and I spent my rent's money on it, and now oh, dang it. Okay, so we watch for that too.
Edit your shopping list when the sun is in Virgo.
Yeah, exactly. But contemplating an image shift, absolutely.
Okay.
Second house, straight up self-worth. How do I feel about myself? People having this will really be thinking about how they value themselves. And this is also money. So they'll be dealing with those resources, maybe igniting, allowing to come forward some gift or ability that they know they have, but they haven't allowed it because it hasn't been practical.
Okay.
So
Cancer ascendant, you're working on yourself. Most likely Cancer ascendant, not necessarily, but... That would make Leo your second house.
That would make Leo your second house. Exactly. Exactly. I'm taking care of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the spending habits. That would be a good thing to like, it's what I value. So it's like, oh my gosh, I've been mindlessly, unconsciously spending on this thing because I'm trying to impress everybody.
Right.
When it does, I just like, that's ridiculous, or I'm going to allow myself a little, it's the polarity. Okay. Third house, might get into some drama with a sibling or with your neighbors.
Or on Twitter, maybe, communication.
Yep, exactly. And so could have that or be in the, how do I say that? In the like observation place, watching other people do
Just
it.
eating the popcorn, like watching the conversations.
And this should have been said at the beginning. But you also want to see if you have any planets between 12 degrees and 28 degrees of Leo.
Right.
So that's going to amplify. This is your transit.
Okay.
Pay attention relative, and you can find it. We've done so much, like you can find it online, I'm sure, but also I think we've even talked about planets. I'm not sure.
We've done the moon and risings, but we haven't done planets yet. Yeah,
we'll have to do
coming soon.
So the topic of that planet will be of the forefront. But if you don't have anything, it still is happening again in an area of your chart. So yeah, third house, siblings.
This would be most likely if you're a Gemini ascendant.
Yes, most likely if you're doing whole sign. Exactly. And there it is, siblings.
Right? The twins.
The twins. Fourth house, home. So we're really moving into the center of the hearth, going into the home. Family. This is where family dynamics have an opportunity to shift if you're not happy with them.
Right.
Issues of the mother.
Okay.
In general, we say mother is fourth, father is 10th. But it could just be parents, family, and just straight up your home. Just like if
your
it's
physical
in your
home.
First, you're giving yourself a makeover. Contemplating it, because we've outgrown something. Same thing in the fourth. Like we might be looking at, how can I just even buy a different color pillow?
Just freshen up a little bit.
Put plants. To nurture yourself.
Yeah, and the plants make sense because that would be if you're possibly a Taurus rising. Leo might be your fourth house. You might like having that like nature, like the things that look and feel good in your home.
Feed it. Exactly. Yeah. I love that's perfect.
The wheel's just going backwards in my head.
But that's the way it works. Yeah. Exactly. That's amazing. Also, I do want to mention with the fourth, it is the end of all matters, the end of life. So if something's just been like, oh my God, I'm really having a hard time with something, this is your opportunity to bring an end to something, whether it's ending a contract, a relationship, or something. You have like mighty God, goddess energy. Mercury will be coming in to help you. We have a lot of support.
Wow. I didn't know that was part of the fourth house. Learn something new every day.
It's the base.
Yeah, the root I see, right?
Yep. It's midnight. It's literally the bottom, the most bottom something's ever going to be.
The midnight thing makes a ton of sense.
So it's interesting because it does show like how our life began, our childhood, and it shows the end of our life. Even though 8th is death. Right.
And 12th is like some endings too.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
But that fourth, we think of fourth and, 8th kind of have those, but fourth is the end of the matter.
Wow. Okay.
It's where all things come to end. So think about that. Use that. That can be a magic power.
Okay.
5th, we go into a point fun.
A fun one for possibly an Aries rising.
Yeah, exactly. So there we have this fire, and that, the 5th is that creativity and Venus, retrograde and Leo. It's like, I just need to take a painting class or something. Like this is the person that should really just go for it.
Go ham.
Go ham. And for what you want to do. Like, what do I want to do? I need an extension of my creativity. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the whole point. We're not inviting the head in yet.
Right.
We're just invited.
She's not invited yet.
She's just not invited yet.
Yeah. This is heart only.
Yeah. We got to give the heart a running start first.
Yeah.
You know,
I wonder if that will be challenging for an Aries ascendant to not use their head.
Yes, but also they are spontaneous and can just go with the flow. So that's why I think this is
do first, think later. Yeah.
Yeah, to just really, and that might even be, I'm going to take a body movement, something.
Cool.
I've always wanted to dance. I'm going to start that.
Love that.
Or a sport. I want to learn how to do something, but just doing something super creative or not launching. I take that back. It's not launch time during retrograde. But putting together something like, I want to launch a business around this that is more to my heart. You can indulge every drop of fantasy around that, putting it on paper, making, vision boards, and then we execute later.
Okay.
We just let it all move out.
So it's sort of like feelings-led ideation if you're making a vision board with your heart versus your brain.
Exactly.
Love.
Murky, just putting your, what is it, the earbud, noise cancellation earbuds.
Like blindfold Mercury.
You'll get a chance later, but just wait. I'm going to give you something good to work with. I will say this too, gambling is connected to
fifth house.
To the fifth house. So, be careful. Don't, just like don't buy the thing that.
Be careful with your money.
Be careful with your money. Yeah.
What about evaluating your approach to dating with the fifth house?
Yep. That is, so people with this in their fifth may be, some of the stronger ones cycling in people.
Okay.
That is a strong, and so we want to be clear. We're not going to, go straight in. We're going to allow ourselves to experience other people's energy, and then we'll make decisions about permanency later.
Cool.
So, yeah, perfect. Great. I'm just happy you brought that in. That's like key Venus Leo.
Well, thank you.
And then sixth is our state of health.
Is possibly a Pisces ascendant.
Yeah, which, hello, Pisces ascendant could be very sensitive to their environment.
Right.
Like it is that take everything in, easily overwhelmed. And so we do see that. What do we need to bring vitality to the body?
Okay.
And
so not be overwhelmed.
And not be overwhelmed. So chances are you will be serving literally how you spend your day. Now, this, I'm going to have a little deviation. It might be, you want to feel, so it's like, okay, this is how I feel. Let me just, for fun, just kind of write down what I am eating. And when I say that, I'm not talking about weight. I'm talking about certain foods might have certain effects on the body.
Right.
That it's like, okay, I might need to back off on sugar or whatever it is. Or I'm just going to give this a try and see how I feel. So we're seeing, because Pisces ascendant is super sensitive and they take it and okay, the chemicals and things. I'm just gonna see how I feel when I do this different thing.
I mean, that was a life-changing thing for me when I food journaled, not for macro and micronutrients or calories. I just kind of kept a log of what I was eating and started connecting it to migraines a handful of years ago. And I realized raw red onions, very specific, very niche. No one ever told me to watch out for it. Those, and I know you can vouch for this too.
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite for migraines.
Just smelling it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. The raw red onions. So just something that had nothing to do, like you said, with weight, just kind of observing, how do I feel when I eat certain foods and having a gentleness to it.
Yeah. And the feeling part. And so this even goes maybe a little deeper. We know, if you have candida, you might crave certain foods.
Right.
And candida mimics other ailments that we think it's this other thing of depression or, anxiety, not being able to sleep at night. And at least if you take some of those things out and we see how we feel, what is our mood after we eat certain things. Again, this is not saying right, wrong, good or bad. It's just, this is how I feel. I'm just being present to feel it.
Yep. This is a good exercise for anyone always, but I guess especially if you have a Leo 6th house.
But boy, if you have Leo 6th house, you're going to really be able to gather some intel.
Yeah.
And this is the other side too, is the people that I surround myself with. Because this is also the house of coworkers.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe wow, I didn't realize how much listening to other coworkers' drama, really takes me down.
It's draining.
So I need to watch that. So that's that. We may have also things come up, incidents with our pets.
Yeah. So be
Not
gentle
bad,
with your babies, your pet
being
babies.
aware, and it's like, okay, there it happened. I had to take her to the vet, and she's okay.
Yeah,
we
maybe
corrected her.
Revisiting health, right? Like we're just tracing our steps, seeing what their health is like.
Exactly. So that's 6th, and just straight up 6th house of self-improvement,
right?
Refining ourselves.
Yeah.
So really, to me, got the most gold to harvest.
Yeah. Good for you. Probably Pisces ascendant.
Like, I kept with it for a day and then I've floated. No, just kidding. Okay, 7th. This is straight up another one, just like the 5th, where
kind of literal.
Literal and looking at the issue of relationship. Marriage. I know I want to get married, or I don't want to be married anymore, because it's both marriage and dissolution of marriage. It's contractual relationships, or like we're already in it. And so there's a lot to do in the 7th. So you might be working with your partner and things we can either bring a lot of light. Like, again, whenever it's retrograde, we're listening to the other person, and then, okay, I have a better understanding if that's our intention. And the other is, I want a relationship. That was my butt. Probably if you're single, you might be really looking at
like
that.
Craving a relationship. Yeah.
And so, and it's all good. It's like, okay, what do I need within myself? What am I not fulfilling in myself that I think this partner's going to fulfill?
Right.
I've done this decades working individually with the exact same people, like over expanses of time. And it is on this issue, you can go figure, this is a big one. And I am Libra, so I'm always there for the conversation. I love it. But it, like time and time again, until the person for real says, you know what, I'm trying so hard to bring this in. I'm just going to like really write down what I think I'm going to get. And I'm just going to focus on doing it for myself. Then boom. Person walks in. It's like magic.
Magic tricks for a possible Aquarius rising.
So you can, exactly. So you can accelerate this process under this. Okay, 8th house. So 8th is the place, we already said death, and I'm not saying anybody's dying during this time.
The Cap risings are shaking in their boots.
And what's kind of perfect is actually they're, like, I can handle it. They do have resiliency to them, but it is those karmic conditions. And we could even say that the people who have the Cap ascendant, Leo is in the 8th, that they're so busy working so hard, holding things together for others, and being ambitious with their work. I can do that later. That, there is a need for them to consciously connect in with their heart, because it's like, I haven't wanted to do it because I'm afraid I'm going to fall. I'm going to crumble if I do. And the building's going to fall apart if I let go. So this is your safe time to fall apart.
Let yourself be a mess a little bit.
Let yourself be a mess a little bit. And also, maybe survey the needs in relationship. And I'm not saying this is every Cap ascendant, but, like, do they have to, there's a checklist of what they have to, fulfill, and based on status, based on how does it look in the outer world.
Okay.
That's what I mean by
appearances.
Status. Appearances, optics.
Totally.
So it's like, but does that fill my heart? I can have both.
Cool.
Like, I can have both. I don't need a person who's just, they need someone who has a bit of structure to them, something.
Right.
But at least there's something of like, okay, I can let both in. And straight up karmic issues. Karmic stuff can come up when things are happening in the 8th. And all that means, no fear. All that means is, okay, I made a contract with myself, with my soul, to undo a couple things. So they get to undo something. So pick it. Be the Cap ascendant. Be in control.
Yeah.
Pick a topic.
All right.
And then it's like Venus is, sure, let's do it.
Cool. Yeah. Use your Capricorn direction.
Use the Capricorn direction. It's like, but we're working on something, Cap ascendant.
Yeah.
we'll work on that, So there's that. Also, I will say this, just like the second house, it is the polarity that like trying to get the finances in control, setting up some kind of debt payback or whatever it is. You can make headway around that. And they are the ones who would really benefit from making the appointment with the therapist, like front load some therapy appointments, because this is the house of that, like psychology, psychotherapy.
Right.
So,
like reviewing your psychology. That's a cool theme.
And, it's very efficient for a Cap ascendant. I don't have time to go for years. It's like, great, get 6 appointments in and you're good.
Amazing. Lucky.
You'll get a lot done. And then 9th house, you're probably really looking at yourself in terms of like, where do I want to go next?
Right. Which is funny because this is probably Sagittarius ascendant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that like, okay, I have fulfilled a lot of things that I've wanted to fulfill. And now I'm letting my heart communicate to me where I'd like to go next, what other thing I would like to do. Maybe I think it's okay for them to do a bigger travel. Like if you want to take a big trip abroad and get your mind out of day to day and let your eyeballs see something you don't look at every day,
right?
And gather and do it on a level of like more inspirational, not so much, practical, but that this is not a bad time to do it. As long as especially if we're in the Mercury retrograde timing, that we just have to go with the flow and be patient, But that or, just really not putting pressure on the self, but just to survey, like, what do I want to do next? I don't know if I know I want to do next. Let me feel it out. Let me set intentions for myself for it to be revealed. And so, yeah, and a little goal that this is kind of a, vision boarding placement too.
Okay. I'm like thinking about this as my relocation chart. And I'm like, oh, yes, I will apply this.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you will be cementing that in. You're going to be getting used to your community, getting used to, okay, this is my new life. Yeah. This is my new day to day.
Now what are we doing?
Now what are we doing? Where am I going to go with this? I'm pointing my finger at you. Enjoy yourself. Telling the Virgo, like, you make sure you enjoy yourself.
The one who has to be yelled at to have fun.
Exactly.
Saturn's in my 5th house.
Exactly. That it is and that would be asking you to do that. Take in the cultural joys of your environment.
Okay.
That's amazing. Okay. I think we are spending more time than I thought we would.
No, it's great. Yeah.
Good.
So Scorpio ascendant most likely would have Leo as a 10th house.
So 10th house, career, you get to work on like, what am I doing? How do I want to evolve my status, my placement? And what may be like this could be an actual real thing happening for some Scorpio ascendant people out there.
Yeah.
That they try to, kind of not hide, but they don't showboat themselves. And that may be what this is, where it's like, you gotta take credit for your stuff. You have to allow yourself to be seen. So this may be the thing going on for the Scorpio ascendant people.
Okay.
Where it's like, it's okay to shine your light. It's okay. Like, if you want to evolve, you can't just expect people are going to promote you or put you out there because you did a good job.
Right.
Because you did a really good job. It's the people who, it's just like making peace with it because they can't stand that. It's like, that is not fair. They should be measured on effort and what I've done and what's real. And this is just, what, screw it. Just make peace with it and get to your place and then go back to being, upset by the way the world works.
So like get used to like some good PR for your career.
Exactly.
Or like what you're doing in the workspace.
Exactly.
All right.
Like, that would be it in a very simple way.
Okay.
And increasing your reputation, being very,
okay,
here's another thing real quick. Have an awareness that you might be being watched and you don't know you're being watched. You live every day in your career, in your job, as if you're being watched by whoever you think if they were watching you, they would promote you.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Because you might be secretly being gosh.
Yeah.
And eyeballed for something, and you're thinking you're not being seen, but you really are.
It feels so Scorpio. Just like being sort of spied on. Would it be a good time to evaluate your, I guess, reasons why you don't like taking credit? Like kind of getting into like, what are my motives around this? Like, why is this like part of my value system?
I think that they just truly, it being seen isn't a thing for them, which I strongly appreciate. They actually already know the Leo trap.
Right.
And they're
like, not for me, thanks.
They know that it's glamour and it isn't a lot of times real.
Substance.
Right.
Stella's snoring.
She's like, hey, I have Leo in my 10th house. Stop that.
I like what I think she's a Sag ascendant, actually. Yeah.
Well, close.
I know.
She might have in Cokehouse Cuss.
Yeah, actually. We're going to look at that later.
We're going to look at that for sure. But that's the thing, that even though they know that, it's still okay for them to be radiant and be seen.
Okay.
Even if.
Okay.
You know, and they don't have to be fake. They don't have to pretend.
Authenticity.
But that was a good addition there.
Cool.
Okay, 11th house. This, I think we said this at the beginning. You mentioned this with friend drama.
Right. Loyalty,
friend drama.
Libra ascendants.
Drama within an organization you're involved in.
Okay.
Some differentiation about what's the leadership of the group.
Right.
You know, and having some, ego issues coming up. Or if that has been involved in a group you're in, this is when everything comes to the surface and will be dealt with.
Okay.
In general. The other side is that Leo is giving some good energy to how you want to vision your life, your hopes, dreams, wishes. Just go for it. Just let yourself luxuriate in that. It's another vision board place.
Okay. So Libra Risings, most likely, this is time to
do this.
Time to get the craft stuff out, or Pinterest open, whatever works.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Pinterest, why not?
I do a lot of stuff there.
You have to teach me.
Oh my God, of course. I would be honored.
My son is Libra. My ascendant is not, but I need that. Yeah.
It's so nice.
So fun.
I do it for so many different scenarios. I'm like, I just need to visualize this, and then I just go straight to Pinterest and I make myself a secret little board.
Because there's going to be more on Pinterest than in print.
Oh yeah, it's so helpful. You can literally, I searced for pictures of white golden retrievers in front of the Eiffel Tower. Like, that's so niche. But that was part of my vision board.
And then here we go.
I know. Crazy. It works.
That's amazing. Which takes us to the 12th.
Oh, yeah. So, and now we're here.
And isn't that you have Leo in the 12th?
Yeah, depending on the house system. So Virgo ascendant, I am 11th, 12th in Coke, or just 12th in whole sign.
Exactly. So one thing about the 12th house, that even though it has a lot of like that self-sabotage and all that kind of stuff, it is also the place where we can dream our life. You know, when you have Leo there, where you can literally manifest your heart's desire.
Ooh. I did not expect, I was like, it's going to be all about like self-sabotage.
And it only becomes self-sabotage when you overthink it and think I'm not worthy.
Right.
Issues
you
of
get
worthiness.
in the Virgo trap.
Right. And that's not a reality. That's not practical.
Right.
When the heart is like, every Virgo ascendant does have like a desire somewhere inside of them.
Somewhere in there, there's desire.
There's like the dream of being able to just have what you want. They just, can sometimes not allow it for themselves. But that is like, you're literally going to be, the 360 circle standing in the place that you found the image of two things you didn't have yet.
Yeah.
And now you will have them there.
Oh my God. That's so crazy.
Isn't it?
You've seen when I do try to get out of my own way and I'm like, okay, I want to manifest this thing. Like you've seen like my computer, like background desktop, whatever it's called, which I update every year. And like one year there was like a picture of like my dream car and my dream dog. And then like both of them 2018 was buck wild, man. Like,
wow.
I don't know what kind of transits were happening then, but this feels like maybe a vision board time for me too.
No, this is well, you're going to need a vision board based on your new place.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, you can just replenish it and change it and shift it and keep working with it. The other thing with the 12th house is
so some of you Virgo risings.
The subconscious. So if it's our blind spot. So it is that place where, okay, if there are things like, I don't even know. I don't know what's blocking me on anything. You're just open, like, please bring it in.
Okay.
Or I desire to do this during my sleepy time. Like, I am intending every night I go to bed, which actually when we do our little self-care part, that's in there for everybody. But the 12th house people will really benefit from making an intention before they go to sleep that, you know, that deeper work. I am clearing and undoing my blocks in my sleep. I invite my higher self to come in, my teachers, my guides to come in and help me work through these things. So when I wake up, my life is a little clearer.
Amazing.
You can do that.
Obsessed. I'm like the 40 nights of that 40 days and 40 nights is about to pop off.
Exactly.
Okay, so for 12th house Leo people, maybe like get that journal next to your bed.
Yes.
Set the intention.
Set the intention. And then for everyone, I like this just in general for every time we have Venus going retrograde. So it is, I call it the self-care journal that you're going to have just for this 40-day cycle. And because what's happening is when Venus goes retrograde, it triggers the unconscious to unwind because we're going inward, like a DNA strand softening and unwinding itself. And so during this time, around all those topics we just talked about, you want to write down feelings that are coming up, and also including like miracles or cosmic coincidences. You want to write these things down, and then we have a date. We can look at it in your chart later. But also like literally write your dreams. Like especially our 12th house people, you know, write your dreams down, because when we're unable to process what's going on in our conscious mind, our higher self and our angels will communicate and work with us in our dream state. So again, 12th house people, like anybody can do this.
But that makes so much sense. Like a Virgo ascendant most likely is going to have like a really chattery brain during the day. Yes. So when you shut down at night, that is actually an easier time, at least from my perspective.
Exactly. And then if we want to sort of like hasten things, like how can I bring something up in order to best deal? I like using a foam roller, and you could just start with a gentle one, because we know this now. I think it's become more common knowledge now than it used to be, but we know that like trauma or stuck, you know, patterns can be held in the fascia.
Right, like lodged in our tissues.
Exactly. And so we lovingly, that's why I say use a soft, you know, if your Aries is saying, doing hard one, I can do
assaulting with like a Theragun.
Yes. Exactly. But just, you know, roll before you go to sleep at night, you know, to kind of pull it up. And then we let our higher self and our angels take care of it when we're, you know, doing this. And then I also suggest working with a deck, like picking a card daily. So when you wake up, you pick a card, and this gives your higher self, this gives your angels a way to communicate with you of like, okay, just what am I feeling into in this day? And we don't judge it right or wrong. We're just, what am I feeling into? And then you can pick a card before you go to sleep, and you ask for the work you're focusing while you're in a dream state, like that inner plane kind of classroom energy.
Right.
And so again, and that's all we're doing. Like that's the Leo part, is we're just surrendering into it. So you can pick a card upon rising, asking, you know, for the feel of the day. And then you can set your intentions if you like. And again, basing it on feelings. You'll probably be clearer if you're doing the nighttime. And you can pick I don't know if I said that yet, but you can pick a card, you know, going to sleep too.
Your dream card.
Your dream card. Exactly. This is what I'm focusing. This is what I am releasing into in my night. So if you pick a challenging card, go, thank you. I get to just let that go tonight. And then too, for like doing kind of intention, like, okay, what kind of relationship would I like to bring in? Because this is Venus. I suggest to people when focusing on bringing a relationship in, don't think in terms of some exact person or someone's characteristics or personality traits. Rather, focus on more the energy that you'll experience when in a safe, loving relationship. And that, I'm telling you, I've done this with so many people, and that tracks it in a little better because we're not dealing with the mind. When we weave the mind in, it has to default to this, what feels good. And then, what Venus will likely bring to you is the cultivation of that energy that is for yourself, which does attract the other into that vibration that you created. So the same goes for the job, the money, the
house,
the good relationship with our siblings, the health, the everything.
That's the juiciest piece of wisdom, honestly.
I mean, it seems so simple, but that's it, people. That's the key. You do that, then you're with yourself too.
Yep.
Like, we're with ourselves. We may as well come to like ourselves. And
it would be so much nicer if we did.
I know, exactly. And so that's it. That's the other one. Self-love.
Shannon,
so there it is.
You just really did the damn thing yet again. Went through the whole zodiac, the whole 12 houses.
And I didn't expect to go so long, but we can't help it, right?
Yeah, there's just so much to cover.
It's like...
I think we're probably getting close to 2 hours.
Dang it.
Oh my God, no, it's good.
Sorry.
This is a resource.
Well, you're good in that you put timestamps.
Yeah, there will be so many timestamps. By the time you're listening to this, you've already found them. So we're good. Shannon, thank you. Recording here with you has just been the greatest joy. And these lessons I'm learning, people are hearing me learn in real time. So thank you for all you do. And the next time we do this is going to be on the phone. I know.
But I will be here.
You'll be here holding it down.
Here with Dan.
Yeah, you and Dan just holding on the fort.
I look forward to that.
I love you. Thank you.
Oh, I love you.
I hope today's episode brought you some insight, a lot of joy, and a lot of astro education that helps you see the world through this lens. And of course, I hope you now have the opportunity to do some reflection this summer during this particular celestial transit. As a reminder, This Is Fine community members can sign up for Shannon's coursework at Moon Gathering. That's also hyperlinked in the show notes. You can learn to read your birth chart or even learn more about tarot. Use the code ThisIsFine, all caps, one word, at checkout, and you'll get a special members-only price for one of her classes. We are taking a short break over here on Team This Is Fine. We'll be back in a couple weeks. We are figuring out our new international dynamic and getting set up, and I am giving myself a bit of a breather to get settled over here too. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss the next episode after the break. I am sending you heaps of love from California, from Paris. No matter where you are, I adore you. Je vous aime beaucoup. I'll see you back here soon. A bientôt. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of This Is Fine. I've been your host, Dominique Michelle Astorino. We're based in San Diego, recording in studio at DLI Productions in Pacific Beach with Emmy Award-winning sound designer Dan De La Isla. This is a comedy and advice podcast, but for legal reasons, this entire podcast is a joke and none of it is medical advice. To download the transcript or learn more, visit thisisfinepodcast.com.